Chapter 1. Blonde hair fluttered gently in the breeze before tangling itself in the stems of long grass growing nearby. It stood out starkly against the red, slowly seeping onto the rocky ground. The face was pale and cold. Brown eyes staring lifelessly into the bright blue sky above. Bright polished armor gleamed in the weak sunlight. What could be seen of the plate design was old and outdated. It had also been pierced and crushed, as had the body within it. A sword rested near the outflung hand. A golden coronet glittered atop the helm. A puff of breath through the mouth, and the smell and taste of blood filled the air. A step forward, and a shadow loomed over the dead. A colossal head, long sinuous neck, and wide outspread wings. A roar vibrated through the throat, and sorrow engulfed everything. Rin Weaver woke with a start and could not help the sob that escaped her lips as the sorrow from her dreams followed her into wakefulness. She looked up through the branches of a tree to the dark, starry sky above. It was still night, and this was no day-lit mountaintop. She closed her eyes, drew a breath to steady herself, and listened to her surroundings. The night was still, so there was no breeze to stir the trees. A distant snore told her that one of the horses on the picket line was awake. To her left, Cornelius Ashe snored softly in his bedroll. On her right, Dagon Drake slept soundlessly. Rin opened her eyes again and found herself staring at the back of Dagon's head. He was lying on his side, and she could just make out the slight rise and fall of his shoulders as he breathed in the darkness. The sound flashed through the campsite. Groans and a few cuss words spilled out as people were startled awake from their slumber. "Donald!" Banner Demiris yelled from beyond Dagon. While Rin had been distracted by the noise, Dagon had leveraged himself up on an elbow to see what was going on. "Ashe, lean over and shake him awake," he said. Rin sat up on her bedroll and watched as Ashe flung back his blankets, leaned over a row of saddlebags, and shook something vigorously on the other side. "Donald, wake up!" A muffled growl was heard as a snore was stopped before it could fully escape. "Wait, what?" came a sleepy voice. Ashe moved back as a tasseled-haired Donald Fergus slowly sat up, rubbing his eyes with the back of his hand. "Is it time to get up already?" "Donald, you woke us all up! Again!" Banner shouted at him. "Leave him be, Banner," Vanicosega said as he sat up and scrubbed a hand through his long gray hair that now stood at odd angles from his head. "He only came off prisoner duty at midnight. Oh, which reminds me, I should get ready to go and take my shift with the Lily." "What time is it anyway?" Donald said as he shoved his black hair away from his face. "It's not far off dawn," Dagon said as he threw off his blankets. "And since we're now all up with time to spare..." He let his voice trail off as his eyes settled on Ashe, who gulped in startled surprise. Ashe leapt sideways as a bolt of blue energy streaked past his head to slam into the trunk of the tree behind him. He spun on his heel and threw his shield up in time to block another blast. Its impact was felt right through his arm, but the blue flame barely lasted a few seconds before dissipating to nothing. "Okay, that's enough. I've got all I need." Ashe looked up over his shield at Dagon, an eyebrow raised in surprise. "Really? We've barely even started." They were in a clearing surrounded by trees within shouting distance of the prisoner caravan. They would be at Caldor, the capital, by early afternoon and would hand their charges over to the Aquitish Tribunal to stand trial for treason. Dagon leaned on his staff and let the blue runes running along its length slowly fade away back into the dark wood. "Yeah, Dagon, you didn't even tickle him," Rin said from behind the mage. "Donald does worse to me during our practice bouts." "Come on now, Rin. You can't still be sore about me tagging you in the butt with that fireball last month," Donald Ferguson called back from his safe position leaning against a tree. "It was a lucky shot."